Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest on the live radar. So you have Storm Pia moving through in the north, but luckily as the rest of this afternoon and evening goes on, those wind gusts will start to die down. We'll have a look at the latest from the weather warnings, not only for Storm Pia, but there are snow and ice warnings issued for the days leading up towards Christmas, as that cold air we thought about a week ago could have made its way further southwards to dominate more of the British Isles. It is still going to head our way, but just about clip northern and eastern Scotland. So in these areas, we've actually have got snow and ice warnings issued over the next couple of days. Again, not too unusual for high areas of Scotland, but there could be some significant snowfall in places. We'll have a look at the latest UKV to see what is in store for the rest of the British Isles for the lead up to Christmas, as it is looking pretty mild at least the next few days, and then as we get towards Christmas and beyond, it should start to cool down. And then actually, as we have a look at the longer range, we are starting to see a pattern emerge that perhaps we could go colder again as we head into the lead up to the new year. Again, I'll be very sceptical at this stage because of the poor performance from some of these longer range runs in the past couple of weeks, but they have trended quite significantly in the last couple of days towards a colder pattern. Not really converging on any individual scenario, but the majority of runs and ensemble members are showing something below average, and some runs are actually going towards pretty cold, maybe even wintry conditions around the new year. But that is still almost 10 days away. So as I said, lots of skepticism with that, and we'll see what the latest runs are showing in the second half of the video. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe. And remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in description. Now, if you start on the live radar, you can see there are plenty of showers for northern areas at the moment. Storm Pia is actually heading into parts of Norway at the moment, and this is where the centre of the low is, giving heavy snowfall in these areas. But we're seeing back-edge wind gusts affecting many areas across Scotland and northern England at the moment. So we're not directly impacted by the storm, but we are seeing a lot of the other effects with the winds and a lot of the heavy showers coming in on the very strong northwesterly wind. Colder areas filtering in for northern areas. We are seeing a bit of snow over the higher ground, but for most areas it is rain, and pretty heavy rain with that. And you can see where the isobars are coming from, as you can see the showers are kind of aligning with the wind. So yeah, pretty unsettled and horrible day further northwards. Further southwards, still gusty, but less showers and less cloud, but still not a particularly great day out there. It is incredibly mild though, as we'll see on the temperatures now. I'm calling this in sort of the middle of the afternoon. You can see Scotland is quite a bit colder, as that cold air is filtering in, but parts of England and Wales, it is very mild. Temperatures even into the low teens in places. Now, if we do go over to net weather, we can see the current maximum wind gusts today. We'll have a look at the top 20 wind gusts, and you can see we have seen gusts of over 100 miles per hour across Cairngorm. Again, very localised over the higher ground. Most areas more around the 60 to 80 mile per hour point. Luckily, now most of these stronger winds have gone. You can see most of these are around the sort of early to latter morning hours. So the stronger winds have now passed, but you can see why the system has warranted warnings. Again, I'm surprised it hasn't been given amber warnings. Again, I doubt many people even knew this system was coming until perhaps last night, but we have highlighted it for the last few days. The warnings were issued earlier this week, and again, the fact that the Danish Met Office named it, and the fact that we only have seen sort of yellow warnings issued, has meant that I doubt many people actually knew this system was coming in. So again, surprised it wasn't upgraded to an amber, looking at these maximum wind gusts and remembering what was forecasted yesterday and the day before. But regardless, hopefully not too much damage and disruption, as this system has now started to subside. If we do go over to the weather warnings, you can see we still got this widespread yellow wind warning. It expires in about half an hour as I'm recording this, so we won't look at this in detail, but again, it's for Storm Pia, which is now clearing. We've got a snow and ice warning issued up across the northern Isles of Scotland here, and you can see is from this afternoon until 10 a.m. tomorrow. Again, looking at a few centimetres of snow even to low-lying areas, maybe 5 centimetres plus over higher ground. And again, it is simply because that northwesterly wind is dragging cold air our way. It's just not going to quite get, it's not going to get much further southwards than northern Scotland and eastern Scotland, really. And that's why most areas are going to actually be very mild over the coming days. Again, you can see it is high likelihood lower end of the impact matrix for the Shetland Islands. If we do go to tomorrow, we've got the snow and ice warning still for the Shetland Islands, but now we've got the snow and ice warning for northern and eastern Scotland that lasts through towards Saturday. If we do have a look at this warning, it comes into force at 9 p.m. tomorrow until midday on Saturday for Friday night and Saturday morning. Again, mainly over 200 metres here, but we could see it drop to low-lying areas, and that could mean 2 to 5 centimetres, perhaps quite widely, maybe 10 to 15 centimetres over higher ground, 200 metres plus, before it does start to turn back to rain as milder air moves in. So we are seeing a brief blast of colder, snowier conditions, but you can see it is just about clipping northern and eastern Scotland before getting pushed away as we head into Christmas Eve. So if you do have a look at the latest UKV, you can see those northwesterly winds coming in through today. Very strong gusty winds, but they're now subsiding. And through the rest of this afternoon, those winds should die down. Still be fairly gusty. It's still a strong northwesterly wind, but just not quite the 60, 70 mile per hour gusts we've seen at the moment. Maybe more down to 30 to 50 miles per hour. As said through this evening, showers will continue, and we can actually see some more persistent rain quite widely here into western parts of Scotland, progressing eastwards, turning to snow and rain across much of England as well. As we progress through Friday afternoon, again, snow across northern and eastern Scotland. This dividing line of showers is sort of the barrier between cold air and mild air, and then as we progress through Friday evening, again, snow for northern and eastern Scotland as the weather front sweeps in, eventually pushing the cold air away, so it will turn back to rain, and then heavier rain will sweep through for the 23rd into Christmas Eve. And in fact, as we head into Christmas Day, it is looking actually pretty unsettled for the south there. Lots of widespread rain. It does look light to moderate intensity, but it looks like Christmas Day could be a really quite gloomy, horrible affair for much of England and Wales. Further northwards, it will be slightly fresher, showers around, but maybe some more blue skies in places. But it is looking likely now we do see a technical white Christmas. As you can see, there will be a few wintry showers over the high ground of Scotland. So yeah, Christmas Day does not look particularly festive at all. Actually look really quite gloomy and horrible. Hopefully, fingers crossed, things can change in the next day or two. But at this stage, it is not looking like it's going to be a particularly festive day. Not looking at particularly, high amounts of sunshine for most, and it's not looking particularly dry for many either. If we do look at the temperatures, the thing is it's going to be actually really quite mild over the next couple of days. As said, this afternoon, 12, 13 degrees, maybe even slightly higher is possible, but for parts of Scotland turning much colder. Into Friday, again, northern and eastern Scotland is going to be a lot colder. It's going to be a sort of a world of its own up there, with temperatures around the freezing point, but further southwards still touching just about into double digits. Into Saturday, it's going to turn even milder for all, still freezing cold across northern and eastern Scotland for the morning, but all are going to be much milder come the afternoon, and you can see widely 10 to 12 degrees, even northern and eastern Scotland starting to turn a much milder. Still a couple little specks of cold air there left, but by the evening, mild air will have swept through for all, and you see by Sunday into Christmas Eve, it is looking incredibly mild. 13 or 14 degrees is possible. Christmas Day, it is going to slowly cool down, but still looking at maybe 10 or 11 degrees in the east. And then as we head into Boxing Day, it will be turning chillier as we do see some cold air move in, but really only just about perhaps getting us back down towards average. As said though, as we head into the longer range, things are potentially turning colder as we progress towards the New Year period. Again, nothing too crazy at this stage, but definitely some quite big trends towards at least colder air masses making more of an imprint on the country. As we do progress over the next couple of days, westerly winds are coming in. That ridge developing to our north never really came off, and instead the low pressure, instead of diving into Europe, is diving into Scandinavia, bringing all the cold and wintry conditions to there. As you can progress through the last couple of days after Christmas, you can see low pressure starts to drop southwards, and we do start to see a ridge build towards northeast Canada and Greenland, and this is where we could start to see those colder air masses filter in. This actually looks like it could develop into quite a sustained cold spell here for the last day of December, New Year's Eve here, and we do see northerly winds and potentially cold and snowy conditions for a few days as we head into early January, but that ridge again never fully forms, and eventually westerly winds break through into the first full week of January there. So a bit of a colder pattern for a couple of days there. Does look like it could go quite sustained with northerly winds filtering in, but at this stage it doesn't actually come to all too much into fruition. Other ones who have something a little bit more sustained here, but again just hints as we head towards day 10 something colder could come back, whether it's just a bit of a colder snap for a few days or perhaps a more sustained colder spell or more sustained spell of below average weather or below average temperatures. We will just have to see, but definitely some colder hints here from the GFS. The GEM actually does follow suit and actually could develop something a little bit more sustained there at day 10. Westerly winds continue over the coming days, looking very unsettled. And then as we progress into the last few days of December, we see a big mid-Atlantic ridge develop, and it actually extends up towards Iceland and Greenland. It does develop a bit of a north or northeasterly wind. It doesn't get far enough northwards or westwards to pull in the properly cold air, which is out towards Eastern Europe, up towards Scandinavia and Russia, but it does develop colder conditions in general, cold high pressure, so it will be very frosty and pretty bitterly cold really, but wouldn't see much snow around with it. But it does open the door potentially for a more sustained colder spell beyond that if that high pressure could nudge further northwards, which it looks like it is trying to as it pumps this very mild air up towards Greenland, which could allow the development of an Icelandic or Greenland high. So we'll have to see. But although it is a slightly different pattern to the GFS, it does deliver very similar results of generally below average temperatures, potentially could turn into something quite a bit colder as we head into early 2024. But again, going to remain very sceptical of this at this stage simply because of the model performance over the last few days. The last few weeks in general. If we look at the ECMWF, it's not actually having much of it at all. As we'll see from the ensembles, it is on the warmer end of the spectrum. But as we head into the new year, we do, or the end of this year into the start of the new year, we do see a bit more wavy jet stream, a bit of blocking patterns appearing to the north, but nothing really comes off and actually remains fairly unsettled with a pretty strong northwesterly wind. Definitely does go cooler with the jet stream dropping southwards, but generally the air masses are just hovering in and around the average point. Again, it doesn't the temperature deviation has loaded here. But you can see, if we look at the 300 HPA winds, you can see a much more wavy jet stream, which will allow colder and milder sectors to move in. So it will be a lot more sort of up and down and a lot more seasonable if that, much more seasonal if that came off. But at this stage, not showing anything remotely as cold as the GM or the GFS. But as we see the ensembles, it is definitely on the milder end. The latest GFS definitely has this quite considerable cooling trend from sort of Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, all the way down towards New Year's Day, where we're going from almost 10 degrees at 850 HPA down to maybe as close to -5 degrees come Christmas Day, New Year's Day, where that could produce the risk of snow. Now, you can see that precipitation does turn quite high between Christmas Day and New Year's Day, so quite an unsettled spell there, but the precipitation does start to fall off, and we do see colder trends. So again, can't say it's definitely turning cold because of the modelled performance in the last couple of weeks, but definitely the trends are appearing, and you can see the operational run does go a little bit on the colder end, especially into the first couple of days of January, but in general for that sort of 30th to 1st area, it is pretty much in line with the majority of GFS ensembles, which does mean that at this stage the ensembles do have fairly high confidence or fairly high consistency and agreement that colder air masses will be moving in. We will have to see, as I said, because I have got a lot of skepticism with this at this stage. To be temperatures on a big cooling trend. 13, 14 degrees is possible over the next few days, maybe down to sort of 4, 5, 6 degrees come the end of the year, and the dew points as well dropping off massively, maybe plus 10 over the coming days, maybe down towards freezing by the end of the year in around a week's time, if this sort of cooler pattern does come off. Finally, if we look at the ECMWF ensembles, actually does follow very similar trends, very mild over the coming week, and then you see a big drop off as we head towards the end of the year and start of January. Again, only really going a couple of degrees below average for the ensemble mean, but you can see there are quite a few ensemble members, maybe 2/3 to 3/4, that actually get close to the -5 point at least some point for a few days there. The operation run, definitely one of the milder runs, not an outlier by any means, because it has got some support. It's just on the milder end of the ensemble spread here. So both the GFS and the ECMWF ensembles are suggesting colder patterns towards the end of the year and start of 2024, but I will have a lot of skepticism for this and only see another few days of consistency before we start to have a look at this in detail and what could happen towards the end of the year. As I said, lots of skepticism and frustration with the models over the last few weeks means I'm not going to be trusting any day 10 charts at this stage. But there are definite hints, and we do have to continue to look at that and report on it. And we'll see, said over the coming days, if this does come to fruition. So as I said, thanks for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.